Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, has plans that could make XRP absolutely explode, and you're going to want to hold at least 1,000 XRP for a critical reason that we're going to discuss at the end of this video. We can all benefit from the plans that Ripple has for the future, from their coming victory over the SEC to their plans to acquire many companies potentially even this year, and even potentially launch an ETF for XRP. We got a lot to discuss. Let's dive into it. Remember, all you need to do to benefit from everything we're going to talk about is simply hold XRP.
There were a couple of interesting things after that Bitcoin ETF was approved in that statement. One, and I paraphrase here, was effectively Gary Gensler saying, just because we allowed the Bitcoin ETF, don't think we're now going to allow a bunch of other crypto assets. The second interesting thing was the price of Ether skyrocketed immediately after, on hopes that there could now next be an ETH ETF. What are the chances of that?
I think it's a certainty. I think
this year?
I'm not going to put a horizon on the time, but I think there will be other ETFs for sure.
An XRP one?
There will be other ETFs for sure.
but an XRP one?
I love this game we play. Look, I am very
That's the last time I lost.
That's fine. But look, the sad part of that reality is we have a Bitcoin ETF only because a U.S. court said to the SEC, you're being arbitrary and capricious in your application of the law. What would be sad is if every ETF had to go through that same journey and for Gary Gensler to get smacked down by the U.S. court system again. That might be necessary, but again, at some point, I think Gary Gensler won't be the chair of the SEC, and that will be a good thing for the American people.
That's pretty funny how he just grilled him about an XRP ETF, but I think the reality is that we're going to see all major cryptocurrencies have ETFs in the next coming years, and that includes XRP. This is something that's inevitable. This is such a major value proposition for all these different cryptocurrencies to get a ton of liquidity, or I should say a ton of value backing their assets. I mean, don't tell Gary Gensler, but I think XRP ETF is probably going to be one of the first ones that'll get approved following the Bitcoin ETF. Why do I think that? Well, in reality, when we look at what's been happening with XRP, they have decided that XRP is not a security, but the rest of them, like Solana, Ethereum, are most likely going to have to fight the SEC. Let's be real. Gary Gensler, unfortunately, despite what the rest of us would like to see, he's not going to be leaving anytime within the next year or two, most likely. And so once he is done with XRP, once he gets beat down even further than he already has, he's going to move on to the next thing. He's going to go, okay, I lost XRP, but maybe I can win against Solana. Maybe I can win against Ethereum. And so he's going to be trying to target all these other cryptocurrencies as they're trying to accomplish things. And so I think that's really going to slow down the progress for ETFs with these other ones. But when it comes to XRP, what is he going to do? He's already lost. As he hinted at, I agree that I think it's going to be really great once Gary is gone. And I strongly agree with that. He's just putting up roadblocks without clarity on how you get past them. Look, I mean, it's inevitable. We're going to have some people that are going to like crypto, some people who don't like it. That is just inevitable. But what is not acceptable, in my opinion, is hating on cryptocurrency and then not providing clarity for us to comply with the laws. You can say, I don't like cryptocurrency. Maybe you're going to impose stricter regulation, which I would disagree with, but at least you give us clarity. You give us the regulation. That's what we're missing right now. We don't know how to go forward. And that's why I think Gary needs to move on. He needs to leave. And we need someone to take his place. Ideally, and hopefully they would enjoy cryptocurrency. They would believe in our vision. But even if they don't, at the bare minimum, they need to provide us with clarity. But on a positive note, let's hear Brad talk more about his amazing prediction around the coming year with laws that he thinks could be coming for cryptocurrency.
But there are a number of bills trying to make their way through the lawmaking process. One of those is around stablecoins. There's a number of others as well. Do you think that in 2024 there is the political will, given it's an election year as well, to pass some of these bills and bring them into law?
I said earlier I don't like to predict things based on time, and this one I will. I think this year there will be legislation that passes. I won't be as predictive about which one. I think likelihood is that the stablecoin, clarity for stablecoin. I can't remember the name of the bill that has been going through the system in Washington D.C. But I think we will see that in part because the U.S. Treasury wants it. Right? I mean, I think the stablecoin market has really surprised people in some ways in terms of solving a real need. And I think it only makes sense for there to be regulatory clarity around that. I think that's good for the whole industry. And one of the things you said earlier is, are there skeletons in the closet? The stablecoin market, because there hasn't been clear rules of the road, it'll be interesting as that comes to fruition. The two primary, obviously USDT and USDC, I think they are here to stay, and I think you're going to see other entrants in that market too. You said before that the US risks losing some of the leadership around this industry, that other countries have taken a lead, and a lot of that is due to what the SEC does and the fact there isn't clear regulation in the US. If the regulation does pass this year, if there's clearer rules for the road for the broader industry, does that help? Will the US be able to compete with some of these other jurisdictions who took an early lead in this industry? For sure, yes. I don't think the market has passed the US. I think it has passing. And you are seeing, look, we have publicly shared over 70% of Ripple's hiring last year was non-US, despite the fact that there's still a majority of our employees in the United States. Why would we want to hire in a market where we have a hostile government? We have a government who won't provide the clarity we have asked for, where we had to fight for years and spend well over $100 million in the court system to fight them. So, there will continue to be a lot of activity, I think, in London, in Dubai, in Singapore, in some of the other, financial capitals of the world. But I think the U.S. eventually figures it out. I don't know how to predict what's going to happen in the election cycle, but no matter what, there's going to be, a shift, if you will. And I think we will see a shift at the SEC, hopefully to a new chair that is constructive and wants to work with the industry and not put their own agenda ahead of the American people's.
A bill for stablecoins in 2024, I think that makes a lot of sense. Because, as he mentioned, this is something that the government wants. It is something that could lay the groundwork of the foundation for central bank digital currencies to eventually roll around. Not necessarily something that we want, but in order for them to accomplish that goal that they want, they need regulation and clarity around this. And Brad also hit on a really critical point here. We are needing to see regulation within the next couple of years because, as he mentioned, over 70% of his hiring was not based in the US. Even though they are trying to be compliant with the US and trying to be based in the US, we're seeing a lot of the cryptocurrencies, especially, they're going entirely outside the US. As he mentioned, these other major financial centers, and they're just going to ignore the US. So if the US does not get their act together here very soon, we're going to see the likes of Ripple, the likes of all these cryptocurrencies continue to expand outside the US and eventually potentially abandon the US, which is not something we want to see. Well, a lot of us are from the US, so we want to see this value come to our country. We want to see this value be recognized not just by other countries, but by everyone in the world, including us. All right, let's get into the heavy-hitting stuff. Let's hear what Brad has to say for the big news around Ripple in 2024. And if you guys are getting value out of this video, make sure you go ahead, subscribe down below, and smash the like button so you don't miss another video just like this.
Just for the last 5 minutes, Brad, let's talk about Ripple, what your focus is this year, where you're going, and the future. For 2024, where are you putting your energy?
Well, a couple things come to mind there. Obviously, our core product around Ripple Payments has continued to grow. And that's something we'll continue to invest in, more payout markets around the world. We, through an acquisition, entered the custody market in 2023. Certainly a lot of our investment, our incremental new investment in 2024 will be investing in the custody business.
Is that in anticipation of sort of some of these bigger investors getting into the markets and...
Well, on one hand, I would say yes. However, there's already a tremendous amount of demand. That business is growing very quickly. We announced publicly just a month or two ago that HSBC is a new client of that business. So, these are big accounts as well as more mid-market accounts. The custody business is very real and is going to continue to grow nicely. I do think Ripple thinks about entering other vertical markets, so payments, custody. I think we'll do other things in 2024. Some of those will probably enter through acquisition. We've been super fortunate to have a very strong balance sheet at a time that the market has shifted and the valuations of a lot of these companies is not what it once was. That's been an opportunity for us, and so we're going to continue to play offense.
And what are the areas that interest you then?
I was thinking about being your wardrobe consultant. No, I'm not going to announce the world, the key areas. But look, Ripple at its core is a blockchain infrastructure company serving enterprises. We started with payments and financial institutions. We've moved into custody, a lot of overlap with those same financial institutions. But we're going to expand with that same thematic of infrastructure, enterprise-based. and it's served us well.
And what are your growth expectations this year? What revenue growth are you tracking this year? Will you be profitable this year?
So, we have been cash flow positive the last couple of years. That has been a unique place in the market and allowed us to invest not only in the core of Ripple, but also in acquisitions. And even, recently you may have read, we did a tender offer to our shareholders. Yeah. We've now repurchased over $1 billion of stock from our shareholders. That's something that's important to us, quite frankly, because it is not an immediate term priority to go public. In the United States, trying to go public with a very hostile regulator that has to approve your S1, that doesn't sound like a lot of fun to me. Coinbase obviously had their S1 approved, and now the SEC is suing them for doing things that was outlined in their S1. Now, as I mentioned, there's a hearing tomorrow in the US about some of that, but I think it's indicative of why would we want to subject ourselves to an SEC that is openly hostile to this industry?
So in terms of an IPO, an exit of some sort, is that sort of parked to the side at this point?
Yeah,
or are you looking elsewhere outside the US for a listing?
Yes to all of those.
Okay.
I don't think about an IPO as an exit. I think about an IPO as a step in the journey. Shareholder liquidity is important to me. We have investors that first invested in Ripple in 2012. So they've been in this deal for 11 and a half years. And so we want to provide that liquidity, which is one of the reasons why we've done these tender offers and now repurchased over $1 billion of stock. We have looked at other jurisdictions that have clearer rules of the road. But honestly, a lot of people go public because they need to raise capital.
Yeah.
Ripple's not really in a place where we need to raise capital. And so it is not a short-term priority. We're obviously keeping that option open, and we'll evaluate it as time continues. And we'll evaluate it again as we have new regulators.
Did you hear what he just said? He just hinted at some really key things that we can look forward to in 2024 and 2025. You might not have picked up on it because he was pretty subtle with this. So we're going to dissect what he just broke down. First thing that he broke down there was talking about Ripple payments and how that is a focus and how what they're going to be trying to do, or what their focus is going to be, is on expanding more payout markets. So providing more opportunities, more payout markets around the world. This is something that's important, of course, as they are trying to become a globally operating organization, or a globally operating platform, I should say. Of course, they want to have a lot of different markets available to them. Another key thing that he talked about was acquisitions. This is another thing that seems like a lot of people are glossing over. They entered the custody market in 2023 via acquisition. However, another thing that he talked about is that they want to integrate other vertical markets, and he hinted at possible acquisitions in 2024. What could that mean? We're not really sure. He didn't say exactly what that is, but it sounds like if he's talking about acquisitions coming up within 2024, that's got to be already in the works right now, or almost about to be starting the process of officially starting some of these acquisitions. So either they have acquisitions that are currently in the process of being finalized, or they're getting ready to start the official process of acquisitions, which I think is really exciting because just the timeline it takes to actually complete acquisitions, it's got to be something that's already in the works, which is really exciting to know. And I'm curious to see, what do you guys think these different acquisitions are going to be when they're talking about vertically integrating? Again, they currently have the custody market. They also have this payment platform. What's going to be the next step for them? And something else that is really important that a lot of people are misunderstanding or just not getting entirely is that a big advantage that Ripple has, even though, yes, we have not seen the price of Ripple explode recently, or I should say XRP has been relatively stagnant. Ripple has been fighting the SEC, and we've seen a lot of trouble and turbulation that's been happening recently. And people think this is not in a strong position. This cryptocurrency is not doing well. However, they have also have a really great and strong balance sheet, which is backed by the fact that they are cash flow positive. That is not necessarily a big deal in the general economy, but in the crypto space, that is a huge deal. Almost no cryptocurrencies, I shouldn't say that, a handful of cryptocurrencies that I could name were cash flow positive over the bear market. However, Ripple has maintained a cash flow positive position, which I feel like is something that's being majorly overlooked, because we have been seeing so many major crypto projects collapse throughout the bear market because they didn't have the cash to sustain themselves Ripple has been able to sustain themselves, but not only that, they've been able to do acquisitions, and they're planning even more acquisitions to expand. That way, as we go into the next bull market, they're going to have so much success. And of course, a major aspect of us actually seeing success for XRP in 2024 is going to be finalizing this SEC lawsuit. Yeah, they've made great progress. The SEC is not willing to declaring XRP a security. They are having some finalized little battles still with the SEC, but hopefully that'll be all finalized in 2024. And let's hear what Brad has to say about that.
I've been asking you this since 2020 because that's how long it's been going on for. Ripple versus the SEC lawsuit. When do we get a conclusion?
Look, but most of it has been resolved, right? So the SEC filed a lawsuit in December of 2020, so just over 3 years ago, against me, against Chris Larson, and against Ripple. The case against Chris and Brad, myself, have been dismissed entirely with prejudice, meaning they can't ever bring it back. And the case against Ripple, they lost on everything they cared about. I mean, their primary tenet was that XRP is a security. And in the Judge Torres's opinion, what she wrote is XRP is in and of itself not a security. So I feel very good about that. The SEC then asked for approval to appeal that decision, and that was denied. So, I mean, look, the SEC has lost consistently in this case. There is a piece of the case that continues around institutional sales, because investment contracts where Ripple sold XRP to institutions who wanted to speculate. The irony there is, again, the SEC's one of their missions is to protect investors. How many of our institutional XRP sales did they lose money? None. So, like, what are we arguing about? What are we, anyway, so look, that will proceed through the court system for a little bit longer, but I feel very good about where we are, and I frankly really pleased for the whole XRP ecosystem, and the whole crypto market benefited immensely from that legal win.
It's hard to disagree that the XRP lawsuits have been difficult. Their battles with the SEC has been difficult for XRP. But overall, as we look forward 5, 10, 15 years in the future, I think we're going to look back on this and we're going to see that this fight with the SEC is benefiting not only Ripple and XRP, but it's actually benefiting all of cryptocurrency as a whole. We are showing what the future of cryptocurrency could be. We are fighting back against Gary Gensler and the SEC that is trying to stomp out cryptocurrency. We're having major wins. So yes, it is difficult to be going through these lawsuits and it's not great for the price at all. But in the end of the day, this is going to be great towards the future of cryptocurrency as a whole. Now here's the reality. All these awesome things for XRP, from winning lawsuits to acquisitions, all of these things are worthless without partnerships. Luckily, Ripple has been establishing major secret partnerships even with government organizations. If you want to learn more about the amazing partnerships that Ripple has developed, check out this video up here and I'll catch you all in the next one.